All right, it's time. We're finally going to cut the energetic cords to your avoidant situationship. Energetic cords are things that we naturally create when we have some kind of emotional connection to somebody. It's not necessarily a bad thing until these are cords that just are not serving our highest good anymore. Let me tell you, these do not necessarily just go away on their own. I recently had an experience where I ran into a situationship from like 8 years ago. I am very happily married. I got together with my husband shortly after I was involved with this other person. I rarely think of them. I very rarely see them. And yet it came to my attention that the cord was still there. Something you have to realize and own on your side is that we hold onto these cords because they are serving us in some way. There's a lot of reasons why we might hold on to these things, but do you like feeling needed or like the feeling of someone thinking about you? It's pretty common when you're involved in an avoidant, and no avoidant slander here. But when you're involved with an avoidant, often after the relationship ends, they will continue to ruminate on you. Because for them, that safe place is things not feeling finished, not feeling defined. Maybe you like feeling like you were the good guy and they were the bad guy in the story, and that gives your ego some kind of boost. Maybe you just genuinely miss the deep connection that you felt with them and you haven't had another strong connection lately. Maybe you just overall struggle with boundaries and just energetic boundaries of all kinds. I will say that for me, I genuinely cared about this person. For a long time, they were a very comforting person in my life. And I think for that reason, I just didn't want to fully let them go, but it really wasn't serving me anymore. And at the end of this, I will tell you the realizations that I had after successfully cutting this cord, which I did a few weeks ago. So we're gonna do it together right now. Here's the process. This exercise is from a great book called Energy Strands by Denise Lin. Number 1, cleanse yourself in some way. This could just be putting on like some clean clothes. That's what I did. You could take a shower. It's not fully necessary. If you're not in a place to do that right now, that's okay. Next, make sure to drink plenty of water. You can drink water as you're doing this. Just make sure to drink some water afterwards, because when we're doing this kind of energetic work, it can bring up some emotions. It can bring up some stuck energy, and you want to be able to flush that out of your body. Next, we're going to be very clear on who we want to release. So we know it's that avoidant situationship, and that's who we're going to focus on. Let's relax a little bit. You're somewhere where you can really let that tension go from your muscles. Let's take a few very deep, full breaths. And with each inhalation, let's imagine this really sparkly, healing, light energy coming into your lungs. And when you exhale, you're releasing all the energy that you don't need. Let's do that now. Now we're going to call upon your spirit guides, your angels, and your ancestors. Don't worry about who those are. Everyone has them. They will come. And we're going to ask with gratitude that they help you release what is not needed for the highest good of all. Now we're going to visualize. If you're someone who doesn't see things in your mind's eye, your third eye, that's okay. Just imagine like the sensations of your body and the feelings in that moment. So imagine you're atop a high grassy hill. In the far distance, you might see snow-capped mountains or a luminous seashore. Spend time getting a sense of this lofty vantage point. Imagine that the high grasses are slowly waving in a gentle breeze. See white, fluffy clouds overhead. Take a moment to feel strong and grounded. There's a meandering pathway that leads to the top of the hill where you are. Anyone or anything that has attachments to you can come up the pathway to you as you desire. This is where you're going to imagine your avoidant situationship walking up the pathway. Now you're going to imagine that in your hands you have large, sharp shears, scissors, or a knife. It feels holy. As your avoidant situationship appears on the path, imagine that they're standing in front of you. Our intention is to cut all the strands that are dark, dull, or shriveled, these energetic cords between you. So take your shear or scissors or knife and cut that cord. If your knife begins to feel dull, hold it above your head to be sharpened by the light of the sun. Sometimes you'll cut a cord and it seems to come back. Sometimes it requires a few cuts to get that cord severed. Just keep cutting again and again, or even pull it out, because we don't want like the dead root sitting inside of you. Eventually you notice that the strand or cord is severed, you've pulled it out, and there's probably going to be a hole left in you where that cord was. Now you'll affirm your intent. Say, I, state your name, hereby release and sever all cords to you that do not serve and support our highest good. As I cut ties to you, I honor my space, and I honor your space. We each stand free in our own light. I am free, you are free. Only that which is beneficial and empowering remains. Now you should feel an immediate lightening of your field. I also like to fill that hole with like gold energy and blue light around the edges, just to kind of fill up that wound. And ever since I've done this, whenever I like look down at that cord, I see it all nice and filled. Eventually it'll heal and it won't even be there anymore, but that just helps the healing process. Now we're gonna thank that person for being in your life, for all the lessons that they gave you, and all the ways that they helped you understand yourself and what you want moving forward in a better relationship for you. We're sending them our sincere blessings for their own journey. Send them off. Thanking them just completes the cycle, and it makes it easier for you to go forward in your life without this attachment. Gratitude is really good at freeing things. But let me tell you, this situationship that I released a few weeks ago was so old that we didn't even have the word situationship back then. I didn't even know what to call this thing. And I'm not gonna lie, I romanticized that connection a little bit in my mind. So I was focusing on these good parts and this time we spent together and how I felt and who I was during that time. And I was also projecting what I would do if I were this person with my life. And I had this idea in my mind that they were going on that path, like what I would do if I were them, the potential that I thought that they had. And even though this person was still kind of peripherally in my community, so I had some idea of what they were up to, let me tell you, what I would have done was not what they were up to. And as soon as I cut that cord, I really saw this situation for what it was. This was someone who was a good person, but they were deeply emotionally closed off, deeply emotionally crippled. I know they did care about me. They did love me in their own way. It just helped me see this person for who they truly are. And that illusion is completely gone. It's crazy the things that we carry energetically, and you can do this exercise for anybody or anything in your life. So I hope that you feel lighter and avoidant situationship free.